So, what the heck is body steering? This is not a question that I asked myself when someone told me that you need to steer with your body when you ride a motorbike. And it's not a question that I asked myself when someone told me that you need to steer by pushing down on the pegs. It was actually a little bit of a journey and a little bit of a story before I got to that stage where I can ask myself, what the heck is body steering? So, welcome to my channel where we talk about bikes and more. Today I'm going to be talking about how to steer a motorcycle, in particular counter steering and how that works. And at the end we're going to share another Bible verse as we usually do on this channel, so please stick around for that. Don't forget, if you like my content, please hit the like button and subscribe. So this journey, which led me to ask myself what the hell is body steering, started about a couple of months after I got my license for riding. I didn't have my own bike. I had the gear, I had helmets and things like that, but I had a friend at work who was kind enough to let me, practice on his bike. He had a Suzuki GS 500, and at lunchtime at work, he would let me ride around the block at our work complex. And I was doing pretty good. Maybe I'd done like a whole 5 days of practicing every lunchtime, spread over a couple of weeks. And there was this one time where I got a little bit more confident and decided I should go the other way around the block. And as I was going around the other way, there was a bit of a hill on the driveway, so I turned in up the hill, up the slight hill onto our work complex driveway, and I found myself heading towards this shiny new silver Mercedes-Benz, and I realized that I was heading, which was parked by the way, and I realized I was heading towards that Mercedes-Benz after slightly being put off by the turn and the hill, and I was heading straight towards this shiny new Mercedes-Benz, and I realized that I couldn't really do anything about steering away from heading right towards a crash course with this Mercedes-Benz. Luckily, I didn't hit the car. I sort of narrowly missed it, maybe by a meter, and put the bike away, went back to work, and got home and started to try and figure out what went wrong. So after that, I went onto the internet. This was back in 2017. I went back onto the internet, I went onto YouTube, and just trying to do a search about what was going on. And it was at that time, I found out about a lot of really cool YouTubers, which I started to follow. But I learned a lot of things like target fixation, and I also learned about counter steering. Now, for those who don't know what counter steering is, or maybe if you're new to riding or you've been riding for a long time and you haven't heard about it, it is how you turn a motorcycle. So a motorcycle turns by leaning, and the way to get the bike into a lean, or the most effective way, or probably arguably the only way to get the bike into a lean to turn, is to counter steer. You turn the steering wheel slightly in the opposite direction that you actually want to turn. So if I want to turn to the right, I will steer slightly the steering to the left. What this does is it throws the bike into a lean into the right direction, and vice versa. If I want to turn to the left, if I want to turn and lean to the left, I turn the steering slightly to the right. That will throw the bike towards the left, it will be leaning in that way, and it will start traveling in that direction. That's a pretty simple concept. It took me a little bit of practice to get used to. One tip is that what I do is I lean my body or my shoulders into the direction I want to turn, but I hold my arm straight. So I put a little bit of sort of tension on my arm. That will force the steering to go in the other way and perform the counter steering. So it's a bit hard to, not intuitive to, to turn left to go right and turn right to go left. So I found that I swing my body into the direction I want to turn, but I hold that arm, like I tense that arm. That will force the steering in the counter steering direction. And it's just a way, because you need to get like a quick muscle memory reaction, and I found that that's a pretty effective trick to sort of trick your brain and get used to it. It took me a few days to get used to it, but you just need to practice it a lot, and now I just do it naturally. There's a lot of people who they don't believe that counter steering is real, or they say they've ridden for 30 years and they've never counter steered. There are some people who are not on board, and I think the reason that they're not on board is that a lot of people explain the concept of counter steering incorrectly. They explain it wrong. When I first heard about it, I thought it was a bit weird that you turn to the opposite direction that you actually want to go into. And I did some more research, and I realized that you're not sitting there to drive to the left. You're sitting there holding the steering wheel to the right. No. So you pretty much steer into the direction that you want to get to. If you're in a lean and you want to go upright, you counter steer to throw yourself upright. And it's all controlled, and it's all sort of small muscle memory movements. It's a bit like balancing the bike. No one tells you how to balance your bike to go straight. You just sort of know how to do it, and counter steering is the same. So after learning all this stuff about counter steering and getting all the practice with all these years, I came to ask myself the question, what the heck is body steering? Why do people even talk about it? Even when I got my license, no one told me to counter steer. Like when I was doing my learners, no one told me to counter steer. They told me to steer by pushing your knees into the body of the bike. Now the thing is, all steering is counter steering, pretty much. I think that there was proof that you can't really turn a bike if the steering was locked. So therefore, even if you lean a bike, I think it's very difficult to steer, or even impossible to steer without counter steering. People can leverage counter steering to throw the bike into the direction they want really, really easily. But you can turn with your body, not by pushing on the pegs so much. I'm not sure what that actually does, but if you throw your body into the direction that you want to turn into, and you don't really know what counter steering is, I think the effect of you throwing your body into the direction that you want to go, kind of as a side effect, has a bit of counter steering effect on the bike. I think you can even let go of the handlebars and then throw your body or push your knees into the other side of the steering pivot, and you'll see the steering will turn in the counter steering direction. But so you can steer with body steering, but it's just a difficult way of doing counter steering. To me, the analogy is pushing a wheelbarrow by not holding it from the handles, but by sort of pivoting up from the front of the wheelbarrow and pushing it around, rather than just picking it up by the handles. And I think that's where the key is. you can sort of push a wheelbarrow around from the front, but it's really difficult to pivot it up. And so when you understand counter steering, turning becomes really easy. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys get a good understanding of counter steering, and there's a lot more videos online. Just don't take my video. My video is just my experience. But you should, if you don't know, if it's a new concept and you want to learn it, there's a lot of really good videos online, and get practice and use the tip that I provided. So we'll end with a Bible verse. It's in Proverbs chapter 14 verse 12. It says, "There is a way which seems right to a man and appears straight before him, but it's the way that leads to death." So I pray that for everyone that the true God leads you in the true wisdom and the right path of your life. So that's all I got for you guys. Like I said, if you like this, hit the like button, subscribe, and take it easy and ride safe.